Yes, everybody, welcome back to Talking Wolves. Welcome back to a brand new match preview on the channel. The fixtures continue to come thick and fast, and it's the start of 3 games at Molineux on the bounce. We host Aston Villa tomorrow night at Molineux under the lights. Then we face off against Liverpool on Tuesday in the league, and then next Friday in the FA Cup. So we continue this busy schedule that we have, and against another really tough game against Aston Villa, a team that for some reason just struggled to get a positive result though at Molineux. So it has been a good fixture for us. This has hosting Villa at Molineux, and hopefully that can continue tomorrow as well. As always, I'll be giving my thoughts. The latest from Rob Edwards' pre-match press conference, and we'll have the opposition perspective later on in the video. But let me know your thoughts and score predictions as well, guys, in the comment section down below. But of course, Wolves will want to bounce back after what was such a frustrating afternoon on Sunday against Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park. One or two individual moments really cost Wolves getting anything out of that match. Of course, Tolu's penalty, which was saved by Dean Henderson, and then Ladislav Krejci's second yellow card, which means he is out and suspended for this game. So, of course, it will be very interesting to see who comes in for Krejci. Could we see a back four? Will we see what Rob Edwards did on Sunday, which put David Muller-Wolfer as the left centre-back, which allowed maybe Hugo Bueno to bomb on a little bit. Totti Gomez, of course, is now back in contention as well. He was back in the squad on Sunday, so he may well commit back in from the start as well. Does he have a little shift around in the back three to bring in Matt Doherty again? There's a few options there, and I'll be very interested to see how Rob Edwards goes about that. In regards to the back three. And of course the rest of the team as well. If Angel Gomez has been on the bench, or started on the bench at least the last couple of games, especially since Jean-Luc Bellegarde's return from injury. Rob Edwards tried something a little bit different just over a week ago against Arsenal, and sort of had to revert back to plan A when Angel Gomez picked up an injury, and we saw Adam Armstrong start up front on his own in that game against Arsenal, and we required Tolu to come on really to add a little bit more of a focal point. Of course, we know the issues and the racial abuse that Tolu Arokadare received following Sunday's game. Rob Edwards has spoken about that and hopes that the fans can rally together and support the player as well going into tomorrow night's game at Molineux. He said he's had a tricky week, but of course continued training professionally, which is fantastic to hear. And hopefully we do get behind him, and really hope that he can, take those chances now and have a nice little run of form between now and the end of the season. In terms of a predicted lineup for me, we'll have a look at that in a minute. It's quite hard to predict, again, player for player. In terms of the team news that Rob Edwards gave us, of course, Krejci out suspended. Hwang Hee-chan is back in training, but this game is probably going to be coming a little bit too soon for him. And you'll hear it later on the Villa perspective as well. They're having some injury issues at the moment. 3 of their big midfielders, Jean McGinn, Tillemans, I believe, and Kamara, all out injured. So that is quite a big plus for Wolves, I would say, in terms of those players that are out injured in that midfield, because it'll probably look a little bit disjointed, and hopefully Wolves can maybe take advantage of that. Of course, if you see Villa's run recently, a run of form, it's a little bit inconsistent, 1 win in their last 5, having lots of the ball but not really being able to do much with it. So hopefully Wolves can maybe launch 1 or 2 counter-attacks, take their opportunities, and have another successful night under the lights at Molineux. Let's jump on to my predicted lineup though. We've gone with Jose Sarr in goal. I've gone with, I think he'll go with Chichura again at right back. Left back as Hugo Bueno. I have gone with Totti alongside Mosquera and Santiago Bueno. I think really this was the only way Totti was going to break back into the team, and this is a big opportunity for him, possibly the man who was named captain at the start of the season, to pin down his place. Andre, Angel, Gomez and Mane, and then Tolu and Adam Armstrong up front. But it may surprise me. I don't think Bellegarde necessarily deserves to be dropped. João Gomez could come in. It's very, very hard. I think that midfield, all of a sudden, especially if you're not going to play Mane a little bit higher up, that midfield all of a sudden becomes quite a populated area, and lots of choice there and lots of quality there as well. But as always, it was great to catch up with Luke from the UTV podcast to get his thoughts and feelings ahead of Villa's trip to Molineux this week. So then, guys, we've got Luke from the UTV podcast to give the Villa perspective ahead of this game. Under the lights on Friday against Villa. Luke, good to have you back on, mate. How are you keeping?
Yeah, thank you, mate. Pleasure to be back on your channel.
Good. Like we said on your channel, it might be the last time in a while of this, but we've got a couple of, well, more than likely got a couple of Midlands derbies to look forward to. Maybe it will just be Blues, could be Albion, but the way they're going at the moment, we'll see. But mate, it's been a really, really good year so far, or season so far for Villa. You know, you had a little bit of a wobble when the season first kicked off, but you've gone from strength to strength. You've seen yourself now sort of sit third place in the Premier League, really solid and comfortable there as well. Titled contender talk earlier on in the season as well. But what's been your sort of overall thoughts on this campaign so far?
Yeah, it's kind of been in three little blocks, really. We started the season off shocking. Then we went on this mad run of winning consecutive games back to back, you know, beating Arsenal, playing really well, beat Man City. And now we're in this little block where it's getting a bit tighter and the intensity's ramping up. And yeah, we're not playing as well as what we were in that mad run. So yeah, it's been a bit of a roller coaster of like emotions on how you're feeling. But overall, generally, third in the league, very, very good.
Yeah, and you still good value for it as well. I know even you say maybe there's been that little bit of a wobbling form, but I think you're still a little bit clear of United. I think you're 6 points clear of Chelsea. You were sat in fifth as well. You would hope that between now and the end of the season that you'd be able to hold on to that cushion between the two teams. But Champions League football looks likely. Obviously, you're still in Europe as well. If you had to choose in terms of preference between now and the end of the season, I mean, what are you preferring to push forward to make sure you stay in that top four, top five, or try and get some silverware under your belt?
Yeah, just I don't care. However we get Champions League, we have to get it, mate. We do, because you know we've got a sort of like SER, which I don't know if any Wolves fans know what that is. It's UEFA's squad cost rules, where we are working with them. Our finances are like under a microscope. So we just need that to keep competing, to keep growing as a football club on and off the pitch. We just need it. So that is my main focus. Obviously, we've got two opportunities, either through the league, win the Europa League, we get it that way. So, yeah, however it comes, mate, I'll just take it because we just desperately need it.
What's the quality like in the Europa League without me looking? Do you think Villa have got a chance of being one of the big boys in that competition between now and the end of the season?
Yeah, like we've been favourites for it since the start. And I think maybe rightly so in a way. We've had two very good European campaigns, Conference League, semi-finals, Champions League, quarter-finals. So we've learned sort of how to adapt and play in Europe again, because it's not easy. Like the teams are like, it's very difficult. But, you know, there's Lyon that are doing quite well. Midtjylland have done well. Lille are doing pretty decent in it as well. So, yeah, there's some tough teams, and it's just one of them, isn't it? It's any given cup competition, you can lose it in one game.
Yeah.
You know, one bad away performance, because we finished top two, every single second leg is at Villa Park now, which is a pretty good advantage. But if you mess up the first leg, it's pretty much, it could be all over. So I think we've just got to just try and attack every single game, because the reward is massive. So I think we probably are one of the favourites, but yeah, obviously cautious of any team that you play is pretty solid, really.
Yeah, you knocked out in the FA Cup a couple of weeks ago as well by Newcastle. But I mean, every English football fan, especially outside the sort of big boys, dreams of trying to, you know, lift that FA Cup in the modern era. But I suppose that does give you that chance just to focus on those two competitions a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, because I don't know whether it gets, you know, I'm not here to sort of like cry wolf here, because obviously you guys are like in a bad position, but what we're going through with our midfield and our injuries, it is pretty tough. I mean, we've got no Kamara out for the season. Yuri Tielemans is out and has been out now for around 4 or 5 weeks, still going to probably be about 6 weeks. John McGinn's out. He's been out for around 5 weeks now. So, you know, that's our three midfielders. You know, you take Declan Rice, Zubimendi, Odegaard out of Arsenal, they're going to struggle, right?
Yeah.
So we're trying to having to like balance a bit of everything. And yes, we've still got a decent midfield with Onana and Douglas Luiz in there, but it is a bit of like a balancing act of trying to just keep those players fit, make sure we can attack the Premier League still, make sure we can rotate in Europe. So we're on like this little bit of a balancing act of just trying to manage the squad the best we can, really.
Yeah. And it's similar to you going back to what you said about cup games as well, because we've got Liverpool in the FA Cup. We play Liverpool, but after this game, we play Liverpool next week twice at Molineux. We've got them on Tuesday in the league, and then on Saturday in the FA Cup, or Friday in the FA Cup, sorry, which is frustrating. But a lot of Wolves fans are saying, well, that's our FA Cup journey gone. But like I say, it's 90 minutes. Anybody can beat anybody. And I think out of those games that Wolves fans will probably still, we know what our Premier League fate is probably going to be. So I think a lot of Wolves fans would prioritise that FA Cup. But, we spoke a little bit on your channel about Unai Emery. He came in for Wolves fans. He came in at the similar time as Lopetegui. And, you look at the trajectory of both clubs. Unai Emery's, made sure that Villa have been one of the best teams in the country since he joined, and Wolves are falling off probably now into the second tier. But how important is he to you, Luke? And what's the long-term future for him? Every summer we seem to see Emery linked with other jobs, but why would he leave Villa? He's got a really decent job there, hasn't he?
Yeah, like I said earlier, like Champions League football, in my opinion, probably guarantees that he's here.
Yeah,
like guarantees that he's here. He's just transformed how I watch football. He's made me as a fan like tactically better, just watching his team, watching football. Like you say, he's been able to take us, under Gerrard, we were near the relegation zone, straight up to Champions League. Just very, very, very good manager who has got full control at Villa. So he runs the whole thing. He's a man that he's a little bit like, kind of like a sporting director at the same time. Transfers run through him. The length of the grass at Bodymore Heath where we train is like down to him. Like he's just got everything that the owners have just said. Go and do what you need to do, and we can try and give
That's
you.
How it should be, though, shouldn't it? Really?
Yeah. So where would he get that?
Yeah.
Anywhere else? He's not going to get that at Real Madrid. He's not going to get that, say, Man United. So for him, I think as long as we keep matching his aspirations, which we are, I don't think he would want to leave. And I think he's kind of still got like unfinished business in the Premier League. I think he wants a trophy. He's now been at Villa for like 3 and a bit years, but still not won a trophy. So to him, he probably backs his ability of like getting us into the Champions League or keep getting us into Europe. But he's won trophies throughout his whole career, and he'd probably say if he left Villa without a trophy, he probably would say he'd failed.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I think that's his mentality. So yeah, just very, very good, mate. And just hope that he's here for a long time. Because if he does leave, mate, I don't want to think about it.
Do you think there's anywhere in world football that would tempt him? Because he's been to he's been at Arsenal, been at PSG, and he's not really had the success there. But Sevilla did well with you guys. He's done well. Is there anyone that you think if they came knocking, you might be in a bit of trouble?
I reckon he's got like La Liga. La Liga's probably in his heart. He's been at Villarreal, won a trophy. Been at Seville, won a trophy. Valencia was his first one.
So would he want to go to Madrid? Came knocking, someone like that? Or
yeah, but he's like proper Basque though. So I don't know whether he would go. What the thing is with Emery, he's very video analysis is his like biggest thing. So there's a Guillaume Balaguer book where he has like 2-hour team meetings before a game.
Yeah.
Now, would Real Madrid players, would their egos go for that?
Yeah.
No. So all his video analysis is like his biggest trait. So it's got to be a complete set package. So I think this is why he's successful at clubs like Villa, Villarreal, those clubs that are probably not the main ones, but just underneath.
Yeah.
So, a club that I think he would probably do very well at is somewhere like AC Milan, Inter Milan. He's had an interview before with AC Milan. That type of club, I think he
just
would
on the
probably
outside
do
of the
really
big
well.
European boys at the moment.
Yeah,
Well,
definitely.
I think, like you said earlier, I mean, with the financial flexibility, and I know Villa have sort of been, player wise with PSR and stuff, been on the sort of border of that, but ultimately, like, I'm sure the owners could say to him, name your price to stay here. And in terms of wages and stuff, I don't think he's going to be unreasonable. You probably pay that to make sure you've got a top manager still in the dugout. But onto the players, Luke. Anybody that's in decent form at the moment that Wolves need to be looking out for ahead of this weekend?
Well, we're not actually playing that well.
Right,
so
okay.
we are. Our defence is very good this season. We've got the third best defence in the league. So we're only conceding like 1 goal a game. So we're very tight that way. And with those 3 players missing, we're trying to like find a bit of a solution to sort of get us ticking a bit more. But I think Rodgers is the one. He's the one that's the superstar in the team, and everything good really comes through him a lot of the time. He's dribbling, his shots, etc. Matty Cash is having a very good season for Villa. He's gone up a level, and we've kind of got this little debate at the minute. Ollie Watkins, Tammy Abraham. Abraham's coming off the bench and scoring. Watkins, lack of service, but lack of confidence. So, yeah, we kind of like, the word I'd use at the minute about this is a bit stodgy. It's a bit just not quite there, if that makes sense. So, but those are like the main players.
Yeah, it's interesting about Tammy Abraham, because I know somebody mentioned it before. His record against Wolves, he scored 6 in 6 against Wolves in his career. Although
I feel better now.
Yeah, well, although I mean, the first 3 came in the Championship when he was on loan at Bristol City. He scored a brace against us, and then he scored at Molineux, that was as well, and then he scored away when we beat them 3-2. And then he scored a hat-trick against us when we first got promoted for Chelsea. Although he did blank in the other 3 games. But I mean, he's got a good record, especially at Molineux. At Molineux against us, he scored 4 of those 6, so he's got a decent record. I remember obviously when we wanted to sign him, the year we'd come up, and he ended up staying at Villa. I think it's when you were in the Championship, I think, if I'm getting that right way around. So yeah, it'd be interesting, because I think the last time we spoke, there was the sort of Watkins versus Marlon. Debate, was it? Yeah, and I mean, he's moved on now as well. Which, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say I watched load of Villa, but that surprised me, Luke, as well. That sort of sale, because he seemed to be doing okay for your first half of the season.
Yeah, and the Villa fans, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, Emery's wanted this like different profile. He's wanted like Tammy Abraham's profile of player. So he's obviously, Marlon was on the bench, wasn't really playing that much, coming off the bench and scoring, but it's just a bit weird that we've spent money on Tammy Abraham, who's now just sat on the bench.
Yeah,
so there's that aspect of it as well. But yeah, some of our transfer business is a little bit, you look at it and you go, it doesn't really make sense, but
seems to be going okay, though, I suppose.
Yeah.
No, there's been a few over the last couple of years, and I think I see it, like, even when Leon Bailey moved on at the time. I know he's back now, but I was there, like, it just seemed a little bit strange in terms of timing and things like that. But yeah, like I said, it must be working at the moment. Quick word on Wolves, though, Luke. I know obviously we mainly discussed it over on your channel if people want to check that out, but your thoughts and quick feelings on what's going on at Wolves from an outsider.
Yeah, obviously feel for the fans. I think that is, it's tough. And probably some of the people that like work at the ground or work for the club, if there are going to be cuts, which would probably anger your fans even more, but, it's tough for those type of people as well. But I think the appointment's good. I think when I'm watching you, I'm seeing his message. You're not winning games, but they're not giving up, which I think is probably a testament to the coach and what he wants. And I watched the game against Arsenal, and the fight back was there. It was good, and you've got some good players. I thought some of your new recruitment was pretty good. You know, I looked at like Angel Gomez and thought, he's gone there. Like, but that's a good recruitment. Like, it's a good signing. It shows that, you know, there seems to be a bit of a plan there, which I think is probably something that might have been lacking before. But yeah, I think he's a good guy, and I think what I would hope is that he gets strategically backed. I think that's the big thing, really. Because everybody knows how difficult the Championship is. But if you have a clear plan, you are a big enough club to be able to go down and grow back in there as well. You know, the Championship is a tough league, but, you know, you've been able to stay and maintain Premier League football for a long time. So I think it's just about collectively getting everything right and just building the club back again, because obviously from a Villa fan looking in, it's like it's disjointed everywhere, isn't it? And that's what relegation can do to a club. So I think stick with him, build around his coaching principles, and hopefully everything can just align back to normal.
Fingers crossed. And their fixture this Friday, I mean, the form goes towards Wolves, but what's your feeling going into the game? Is in the form between the two clubs, not Wolves' form this season.
No, I hate it, mate. I really dislike it. I don't know why we don't ever turn up. I don't know why we can't beat you there. It's just a frustrating place to go that we just never perform well. But I don't know. In my head, I'm going into it thinking you guys will turn up. I mean, whenever you've played, even at Villa Park, Doyle turned into prime Pirlo. The last game, Andre turned into like prime Pirlo, and I think he had like 99% passing accuracy, and he's spraying it everywhere. I'm like, I don't know where this comes from, but you just play well against us. So, yeah, I'm just expecting more of the same, really. I think you'll raise your level, you'll play without fear, and you'll want to put on a good account. So, Villa, we're going to have to be at our best to get anything from it, I think.
Yeah, and like you said, it could potentially be a decent time to play Villa with the form being sort of, well, I'm just looking at your Premier League form now, pretty inconsistent, you know, dropping points. So with your midfield and your injury problems that you mentioned earlier, could be maybe a decent time to play Villa. But Luke, thanks for jumping on as always, mate. Like I said, we did a preview over on Luke's channel. If you want to go and check that out, I'll make sure I leave a link to it in the description. And after Friday, mate, all the best for the rest of the season. And fingers crossed, I'll catch you sooner rather than later.
Yeah, mate, I'll be keeping an eye on you, because I like all Midlands. I'd like it if we were all back up there like we were back in the day.
Barclays,
so yeah, you just gotta get back on track, and I'm sure you will.
Yeah, fingers crossed, mate. All the best, though. I'll see you soon.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers. So big thanks to Luke. I'll make sure I leave a link, as always, to his podcast in the description down below. And as always, guys, let me know your thoughts and feelings going into this game as well. Do you feel that Wolves can go and grab a positive result? A win here would, of course, send us above Derby's record points low in the Premier League. So that would maybe be a little bit of a weight off our shoulders. And again, retaining somewhat of bragging rights against Aston Villa, although obviously looking at the league table, they're in a much better place than us right now. But as always, guys, if you're making the trip to Molineux on Friday, let's hopefully you enjoy it. Safe trip there, and enjoy the rest of your weekend, guys. As always, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you on the next one.